Hello, and welcome to the first edition of the Rfka News Network Weekly Recap Show. I'm your host, Commissioner Dan, and we are excited to begin this new series to help add to the immersion of our great league. Every week, or hopefully every week, I'll recap the matchups, trades, and other points to note from the previous week, as well as a preview of the week ahead. As we progress through our series, through our inaugural season, please give any kind of feedback or mention anything you'd like to see during the series. We'll do our best to accommodate your requests to make the viewing experience as enjoyable as possible. And, without further ado, let's recap Week 1 of the 2025 Rfka season. Big Bucks No Whammy went on the road to face the Gamblin' G-Words in the classic rivalry, the Rumble on Campbell Road. These former next-door neighbors were both considered two top contenders going into the season, but injuries and inefficient wide receiver play left the G-Words wanting more in Week 1. The Whammies, led by quarterback Jalen Hurts, went on to win 185.23 to 145.19. Hurts put up 27.28 points, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns, while the G-Words relied on their defensive players for scoring production. The G-Words were led by linebacker Foyesade Oluokun of the Jacksonville Jaguars and safety Julian Love of the Seattle Seahawks, who scored 19 and 18.74 points respectively. The G-Words suffered another loss in the form of 49ers tight end George Kittle, who was placed on injured reserve due to a hamstring injury. The G-Words will need to have their receiving corps step up to the plate and live up to their preseason hype now more than ever. This was the first of 2 meetings between the Whammies and the G-Words, and the two will face off again in Week 10. The G-Words swept the Whammies in the regular season of 2024, giving them 2 of their only 3 losses. This is only the Whammies' 4th victory over the G-Words through 14 meetings. It's safe to say the G-Words have had the Whammies' number since they joined the RFK in 2018. We will see what the future of this rivalry holds. The next matchup on our list is another rivalry between 2 teams based in North Carolina. Stole-Lot, Najee Ajianam, and the Jade Raiders squared off in the fight of first and flight. These two are some of the longest tenured owners in the RFKA, with matchups dating back to 2015, which was Matt's inaugural season. This time around, the Stole-Lots were led to victory by Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes, who scored 30 points in the last Friday in Brazil. Mahomes threw for 258 yards and a touchdown, and added an 11-yard rushing touchdown as well. The Raiders were led by Browns defensive end Myles Garrett and Bills running back James Cook. However, their efforts were not enough to make up for the 10.82-point performance by Bengals star quarterback Joe Burrow. The Raiders were also bit by the injury bug, with sophomore wide receiver Xavier Worthy sustaining a shoulder injury. Luckily, the Raiders have multiple options who performed well on the bench, including Keon Coleman and Marvin Harrison Jr. The depth will give the Raiders plenty of chances to bounce back. Next, we travel up to New York, where the Upstate Brawlers hosted the Frightened Turtles of Brooklyn. The reigning champions handled business against the second-year franchise, scoring a league-high 204.44 points to the Brawlers' 173.97. Led by their new star quarterback, the Turtles' Josh Allen tore up the Sunday night game against the Ravens. Allen's 44.76 points led all players through Week 1 as he threw for 394 yards and found the end zone 4 times, twice through the air and twice on the ground. The Brawlers should keep their heads high as they refuse to back down from the back-to-back Basilone Bowl winner. The Brawlers have found an identity through defense, with defensive end Nick Bosa, safety Budda Baker, and linebackers Zach Bond and Quay Walker combining for 64.35 points. How strong can this young Brawlers team be in year 2 if the offense can catch up with their defense? Next up, the Tropicana Thrill hosted the Drunk Evil Cheetahs down in Kentucky. The Cheetahs faced an uphill battle from the start, with starting defensive tackle Jalen Carter of the Eagles spitting on the hopes and dreams of victory, both literally and figuratively. The Cheetahs' defensive line corps combined for a total of 0.5 points this week, with Lions defensive end Aiden Hutchinson only registering a single quarterback hit. A bright spot in the Cheetahs lineup was rookie first-round pick Emeka Egbuka, who registered 4 receptions for 67 yards, scoring 2 touchdowns for the Buccaneers. The Cheetahs finished with 128.67 points, which was not enough to keep up with the Thrills' 151.18. Second-year quarterback Drake May of the Patriots threw for nearly 300 yards and a touchdown. Rams star wide receiver Puka Nacua contributed 18.1 points with 10 receptions for 130 yards, as well as adding 1 rushing yard on a single carry. The Thrill took a great step forward, going from the 101 pick to 1-0. How dangerous can this team be if rookie running back Ashton Jeanty, the aforementioned 101, can average more than just 2 yards per carry? Finally, we wrap up Week 1 by recapping the league's tightest matchup, the grittiest show on turf versus Kowalski's Killers. This game came down to the wire on Monday night after a strong performance on Sunday Night Football by Killers quarterback Lamar Jackson, receiver Zay Flowers, and safety Kyle Hamilton, who all combined for 74.32 points. The Grits had to go into Monday night relying on DeAndre Swift of the Chicago Bears to erase a 10.15 point deficit. Unfortunately for the Grits, Swift was only able to rush for 53 yards, adding 3 receptions for 12 receiving yards, falling short by a total of 2.15 points. The heartbreaking loss for the Grits was a rare one that was decided by home field advantage. Despite the loss, the Grits should be proud of their performance, posting the 4th highest score in Week 1. Moving on to other league news this week, after scoring the lowest amount of points through Week 1, the Cheetahs sought after a starting running back to help bolster the lineup. On Tuesday, the Cheetahs and Stolots agreed to a trade where the Stolots sent Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard to the Cheetahs in exchange for second-year tight end Cade Stover of the Houston Texans. In addition to sending Hubbard, the Stolots also sent $17, which is enough to cover all of Hubbard's 1-year contract. In Week 1, Hubbard had 19 touches for 89 yards, including a 32-yard receiving touchdown for 16.4 points. The other player, Stover, was a third-round pick of the Cheetahs in 2024. In Week 1, Stover led all Texans tight ends in snaps, securing 4 receptions for 22 yards along the way. However, Stover suffered a broken foot during the game against the Rams, and his status for Week 2 is doubtful. It'll be interesting to see how Houston uses him when he's fully healthy, and he may be fitting nicely into the Stolots roster and long-term plans. In a subsequent transaction, the Stolots released tight end Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens, who was on the final year of a 2-year $20 contract. Andrews had just 1 reception for 5 yards in the high-scoring affair on Sunday night versus Buffalo. Waiver Wednesday had 6 total transactions for us, including 1 maximum bid. The Stolots acquired Browns rookie tight end Harold Fannin Jr. for a maximum $1,000. Fannin had an impressive Week 1, especially for a rookie, where he saw 9 targets, which was a rookie tight end record that was matched by Colts tight end Tyler Warren. The Upstate Brawler spent $150 on LA Chargers wide receiver Quentin Johnston. Johnston, a former first-round pick of the Turtles, had 5 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns on Friday night's game versus the Chiefs. Johnston was cut from the Turtles after 1 season and will look to be a reclamation project for the Brawlers. Broncos running back Jaleel McLaughlin was released after being a Week 1 healthy scratch. The Grits made 2 moves to bolster their IDPs, spending $10 each on Dolphins linebacker Jordan Brooks and Bengals safety Jordan Battle. The acquisition of the Jordans came at the expense of tight end Brenton Strange of the Jacksonville Jaguars and cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. of the Houston Texans. Both Strange and Stingley were on 1-year, $1 contracts. The Drunk Evil Cheetahs acquired Washington Commanders tight end Zach Ertz for $5. The replacement for Stover scored a touchdown in Sunday's win versus the Giants, scoring 10.10 points. The veteran tight end will provide depth behind Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid, who also scored a touchdown in Week 1. The Jade Raiders acquired Las Vegas Raiders linebacker Devin White for no fab. After a lackluster 2024 season, the former All-Pro made a promising debut for the Raiders, securing 8 tackles and scoring 11.5 points. Will the Raiders, both Jade and Las Vegas, find buried treasure in Devin White? Raiders released Panthers tight end Jatavian Sanders in a subsequent move. Sanders scored 4.7 points on the Raiders bench in Week 1 and would have been stuck behind TJ Hawkinson of the Minnesota Vikings, who was playing on a 1-year, $9 franchise tag. Shortly after waivers were processed, the Stolots and the Cheetahs agreed to a second trade in as many days. The Cheetahs sent 2 contract years in 2025, which were acquired through a Deontay Johnson buyout in exchange for $6 in 2026. Rumors are already surfacing that the Stolots are pushing to ink an extension for the newly acquired rookie tight end. Looking ahead to Week 2, we will see... Oh, we're getting breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting reports that tight end of the Houston Texans, Cade Stover, is not happy with the management of Stolot Najee Ajianam. The tight end that was acquired just yesterday has already been released. Looking ahead to Week 2, the Upstate Brawlers will look to pick up their first victory of the year against Big Bucks No Whammy. After a strong Week 1, the Whammies will have a 5-point home field advantage. Kowalski's Killers will look to extend their winning streak on the road against the Drunk Evil Cheetahs in the JS Legacy Bowl. Following a tough Week 1 loss, the Cheetahs' home field advantage will only be 1 point. The Gamblin' G-Words will take a trip down I-95 and face the grittiest show on turf in Philly. Both teams will be looking for their first victory of the season. The Grits will have a plus 4-point home field advantage and are currently 4th in the Rfka power ranking despite their 0-1 start. In the Rfka Game of the Week, 2 unbeaten teams will face off in a classic rivalry. Stolat, Na Gia Gia Nam will travel to Brooklyn to face the Frightened Turtles in the Clash of the Cousins. After the Turtles' dominant Week 1 performance, their home field advantage will be plus 5. To round out the week, the Jade Raiders will travel west to Kentucky to take on the Tropicana Thrill. The Raiders will be fighting for their first win of the season, while the Thrill will be looking for their second. The Thrill's home field advantage will be plus 2 this week, as they try to continue to rally the fan base to build support for the club. That wraps it up for the first ever RFKA News Network weekly recap show. We wish you the best of luck in Week 2, and we can't wait to talk about it next Wednesday. Enjoy your week, and remember, set your lineups. Good night.